I'm not even a fan of Wendy, and I can't even front that this chapter was pretty freaking epic. Dragon Force, baby, let's go. So before we get into that, just want to quickly talk about the latest special, the Fairy Tail chapter special that came out today. This chapter basically focuses a little bit on the whole gray Jubia stuff, because I guess Hiro likes to, throw in a little bit of that romantic stuff on the side, and he's using these extra chapters to do so. And I felt like it was a pretty touching stuff. It had, a little bit of a comedy to it, but it definitely, I love it when it goes into that gray stuff with, like, his sensei that passed away, and a lot of his backstory. Gray's backstory is definitely one of the deeper ones in Fairy Tail, so it was focused on that mainly, and just kind of how, like, Julia's trying to get to him, I love you, great, and he's just not having it because of the anniversary of her death, and it just felt like very emotional, nothing, spectacular or anything like that. It was just honestly a little bit of a bonus and an extra, and probably even extra material that he's doing so that when the anime comes back, they have more to do. It was a nice little enjoyable thing, so if you want to check it out, I'd definitely say, yeah, give it a little go. It's funny and a little bit emotional, just a smidge. Now, the beginning of this chapter, kind of unneeded, basically, just seeing Natsu and this guy, but they're not really even fighting for him all. And the clock thing shows up and says, 9 minutes left or whatever, and then they're just saying, yeah, Wendy's the one that can do it. It's all in her hands now. Definitely not really needed. It was just kind of reiterating what we already know, except that it just told us, okay, now there's 9 minutes and some change left, so beginning of the chapter, not really needed. But I really like how this was not only epic and not only just like, oh shit, that was pretty dope, but it also made sense. It wasn't no power friendship bullshit, no BS like that, with Wendy going Dragon Force at the end of this chapter. It was set up where Ezel was like, can you smell the ether nanos? It's just all around and everything. And she put two and two together. Okay, all this radiance is around this. Maybe I can use that in combination and try to go Dragon Force like Natsu. And I really like it. Was kind of like, being inspired by Natsu and how he always does crazy shit like that. And then her doing so made her go Dragon Force at the end of the chapter. Now, the whole thing with Charla, like, oh yeah, she might get eaten by Ezel. Like, really? Come on. We knew that was not going to happen. It was cool to see him choke her or whatever and strangle her for a second, but I knew Charla wasn't going to get killed or anything like that. I mean, Happy, none of them are going to ever die. Like, maybe Panther Lily at some point in the distant future when he's in his, like, adult form, since he's not like them in the little cute Exceed form, maybe he'll die or something, but as of right now, I knew Charla wasn't going to die. This chapter definitely dives into Wendy's progression, because at first it even still shows that she was, like, tempted to run. She was like, no, let's just run, I can't fight, I can't waste a minute, even though she had, like, 10 minutes at that particular point, or 9 minutes and some change, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna run, and at first it doesn't work. Then she tries to fight him off with what she has, and that didn't work either, and I was just kind of like, yeah, that probably shouldn't work, because this is Tartarus, and it all really was put together nicely. I feel as though Hiro, at least with this one, is putting it together in a very strategic way, and it's not just some BS. It kind of made a lot of sense that Wendy on her own, with her own abilities as of right now, wasn't able to do anything to Ezel. He's Tartarus. If she could just immediately fuck him up like nothing, then it would have been like, yo, this guy's a fucking walking joke. But the fact that she used the knowledge of what he said, there's ether nanos all around face, and used that to go into Dragon Force, I felt as though that was very smart, and it made sense, and it was epic all in one. And again, I'm not a Wendy fan, so for me to say that that was epic is something pretty good. Not to mention, we got progression to the location of Face. We see Face. For my British people out there, for some reason, I just keep getting tempted to call it Bellin. Kind of does look like it in a way. And overall, this chapter did a couple different things, even though it was mainly focused on Wendy and giving character development to Wendy, and kind of just advancing and progressing in the Wendy part of the story. It was still very good. It really handled itself very nicely. Very strategic, didn't feel like bullshit. Like, even though the time that she decided to do it was when Charla was about to get eaten, it was that pushed her to think really clearly, like, okay, fuck, what can I do? Is there anything I can do? And she thought, like, the ether nanos, let me try to suck it all up and put it with my wind magic and see what I can do, and it paid off. And that art at the end with her going Dragon Force looks sick as fuck. So overall, just a very good chapter this week with Fairy Tail. I felt as though Hiro just really thought this one through. He didn't just pull some shit out of his ass. It actually all made sense. It all went very well. And it's like, yeah, now maybe she can stand up with chance against Tartarus, and it makes sense, and she doesn't need to get rescued. I would like to see her fuck up Ezel. Nobody need to help her. She just does it using Dragon Force, and it looks sick. Hiro, you gotten this far. You've gotten this far. Do it right. I'm kind of curious about Face, if it will actually activate, because For the most part, I'm guessing it's not going to activate because then they will be completely defenseless. But how interesting would it be to see them struggling without magic and having to resort to different methods to fight Tartarus and overall try to get back the magic? I think that would be very interesting of a little aspect to throw into the story of them. Like, okay, now they don't have the magic. They can't fight. They must run for their lives and must find a way. It would be a very dire situation, a very hopeless situation, but I think that would be very interesting. I don't know if that's actually going to go down. I highly doubt it. Now I believe we were 5 minutes until Face activates, and she still has to fight this guy, and he's still making her lose time, so there's not much time left. I'm going to give this chapter 8.5 out of 10. I felt as though this was very good character development for Wendy. We got progression with the story. We see Face there. Face is getting even closer to activating. It went from 10 minutes at the beginning of this chapter, 9 minutes and some change, to 5 minutes, and it's just getting real close. So we got good progression, very strategic, and I'm liking, like, Hero at the very least thought this one all the way through. It like made perfect sense, and I really appreciated that. And it also had a badass epicness to it with Wendy nonetheless, like one of the characters that you would never say, oh, that's badass or that's epic. So that's good stuff right there as well. But let me know what you guys think first of all. I really like the way the outcome is coming so far with Wendy versus Ezel. Also, what did you think about the little fairy tale special? Have you seen it? Did you enjoy it? Just your overall thoughts. But again, it's nothing to write home about. It's just a little fun and entertaining read. Nothing like too serious or anything. So just read it for the lulz, I guess. Just your overall thoughts of the chapter. Do you think that it's a possibility that Face could activate and they'd have to find a way to get the magic back some way, and you know, it'll be like a dire situation? But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for that Wendy Dragon Force, because it shocked the hell out of me to read this chapter and be like, that was pretty fucking cool. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.